Good morning, good morning, good morning, my Applied ESL family. I hope you have your coffee or tea ready because class is in session. Today, I'm going to talk about the importance of teacher training. So, this is for anyone who's interested in becoming an ESL teacher or tutor. I'm going to be sharing some very good information, so stay tuned and enjoy. One of the things I've learned in my career as an ESL teacher is that we have something called teacher training. And teacher training is just that you are being trained to teach. However, depending on the where and the who is giving this training, you may not get all the information that you need. And I am here to give you some tips on what to expect from teacher training. Or if you do not have an opportunity to be trained as a teacher, allow me to give you some tips. Here's something I want you to think about if you are interested in becoming an ESL teacher or tutor. Why do you want to do this? Why is so important because this is the purpose. We need to know our why before we do anything in this life. So it's not just about being a teacher, this is for anything, even if you're looking for a job. If you made the decision to become a teacher or tutor and you have the opportunity to get teacher training, you want to make sure that when you walk away from that training that you learn the following elements. One is something called methodology. This is just a fancy way of saying how to teach, how to approach your class, how to lesson plan, how to get your student engaged. And this sounds so easy to do, but if you don't know how to do it, well, this can be a problem, right? So you really, really want to make sure that whoever's training you really spends some time about all things lesson planning, materials, how to either pick your own materials, how to create your own materials, some books or some worksheets or even videos that you could watch. We have YouTube, which offers a lot of free video content. So this is something you should be learning how to do. And one of the things that has come up in my coaching calls is that, Teacher Dara, how do I teach? And let me tell you, it sounds like a very easy question to answer, but it's really not. And here's why. When I used to offer teacher trainings many years ago, when I first started as a teacher, one of the things I really focus on, besides the why, is the how. How do you teach? Now, thankfully, nowadays we have books and materials that actually have pre prepared lesson plans and templates, but when I started back in 2005, we did not have such things. And so either someone had to show you or you just had to figure it out. The best thing I would do is look at various ESL books and materials. Ask around, ask people, what books would you recommend? Nowadays, you can just go on Google and find this on your own. But if you're someone like me who's creative and you like to create your own materials, think of things that you would want to learn. Put yourself in the student's shoes. What would you like to learn if you were an ESL student? Would you want to know how to go shopping? Would you like to know how to read a newspaper? Would you like to know how to find a job? Think of some life skills and use that to help you to plan your lessons. And of course, in teacher training, we can go in more details as to how to format and go about this, how much time you should spend on one activity or the other. But one of the things you want to start with is have an idea of what you want to teach, because the English is going to flow into that. It's going to kind of intertwine with this topic. The one thing I have to stress is you want to make sure that you focus on speaking. You do not want to be the only one talking. I don't care if you're teaching beginner, intermediate, or advanced. You could be teaching professionals. You want to get them talking because remember, they're there to practice their English speaking skills. So you want to guide them in that. You want to give activities where, like we call conversation starters, where they get a chance to speak. You also want to have activities planned out where they can talk to each other, whether this is in person or remotely. You really want to give some reading and vocabulary because vocabulary building is part of the speaking process. Without having any type of vocabulary to start with, it would be very challenging for students to just start speaking in English, right? So you want to include vocabulary, spelling, pronunciation, syllables, how to sound out words and letters. You really want to spend some time on that. And then writing. A lot of times I've come to know this, a lot of teachers don't incorporate enough writing, but it's very important. And some students may be resistant on this one because writing is a skill and it's not the easiest skill for anyone, not even for us native speakers, but it's so important. And writing doesn't mean you have to teach essays and research papers because that's a lot. But what you can do is teach how to write an email, how to write a resume, how to write a basic letter. These are skill sets that even in our technological world, everything is texting and FaceTiming and things like this. But when you're working a job or if you're in a school setting or you don't know where you would be, where you may need to know how to write an email, you may need to know how to write a letter. And yes, there are still some of us who write letters. So correspondence is a big one. Maybe you want your students to write a letter to you. That's an exercise I used to have my students do with me. Write a letter, dear teacher Dara, and I would have questions they would have to answer. They need to know about sentence structure. They need to know how to write a paragraph, how to format a paragraph, punctuation marks, the difference between a period versus an exclamation point or comma. So these are things a lot of us native speakers take for granted, but I will tell you right now, these are everyday skill sets that every ESL adult learner should know. And if they know it in their language, they need to know it in English. So in general, teacher training should go over that. And lastly, I'm going to add this point. They really should focus on the psychological and the emotional. Now you might be thinking, why is that important? Well, simply put, you're a human. You're going to be working with other humans. You don't know how you're going to feel when you teach this nice lesson, this lesson that you spent maybe 2 or 3 hours on. What if you have students who don't like you simply because of what you look like? What if you have students who may challenge you and challenge what you're talking about? What if you have students who just don't want to learn what you're teaching them? They say, oh, I don't need to learn this. I need to know such and such. So you really need to be prepared for these things. If you're a private tutor, you have to be prepared to have people tell you what they need and what they want and what they demand, but they're not willing to pay for that. You have to know about pricing. So there are a lot of elements to this teacher training than just the textbooks and curriculum and all of that. You also have to think about the emotion and the psychological part of this, the thinking, how you're going to feel in here, how you're going to feel in here. And if you are ever in a teacher training where you have these elements, you'll be at least prepared to get started. And that's the thing I'm going to stress, and I've stressed in my coaching calls, and I look forward to meeting more people who are interested in becoming a teacher, or you're looking to find another job, or you're transitioning into another job. I always stress that you have to know your why and also be prepared of what you're going to expect. This is not a cookie cutter situation, which means it's not going to be do 1, 2, 3 equals ABC. You really have to be prepared for the good, the bad, and definitely the unexpected. And I am here to help you with that. Sorry for the background noise. This is a good example. You have to be prepared for background noise, okay? So I'm here to help you. I am here to offer this to all of you who are interested or is just curious about this profession. So allow me to take away the stress, to take away the all this work that for me I had to do on my own. I did not have the pleasure of having someone say, "Hey, Teacher Dara, this is what you need to do." So allow me to take away some of this stress. Thank you all so much for listening today. I really appreciate it. I hope this helps someone out here. Please feel free to share my video content and so I can reach out to more people. If you're interested in working with me where I can help you become an ESL teacher, tutor, find another job, help you with your resume. If English is your second language, please reach out to me. If you are a middle-aged adult and you're saying, hey, I'm in my 50s and I don't know if I can do this, please reach out to me. I am here to help you, okay? And I really thank everyone who has signed up for coaching. Thank you so much for trusting in me. This is my mission as being a business owner at AppliedESL. I'm here to put the ESL teaching profession on the map so we can get the respect as teachers and educators like other professions, as well as helping our adult learners to feel empowered and feel comfortable and confident to speak the English language. And without that, you can have all the textbooks in the world, but if you don't feel confident in yourself, the process becomes more difficult, whether you're a teacher or a student. Love you all so much. Always try your best, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day, everyone.